We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
Bonus listener mailbag, Mike. No stories off the rip. We just got to get to the questions, man. We are behind.
Yeah. We're going to get to April, though, here. On this one, hopefully.
We're getting to April. Exciting stuff. Let's do it. Starting with Sticky Nunchucks. What are your guys' first memories of watching the NFL draft as a child? As a Packer fan, I was 8 years old when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and I remember crying my eyes out and throwing a temper tantrum about them replacing Brett Favre, similar to how I cried as a 23-year-old after they drafted Jordan Love. Were you guys this nerdy about the draft at a young age?
I was, yes. I absolutely love the NFL draft. First one I remember watching and like being invested in, 01, Mike Vick, LT, the trade down, or the trade up, I guess, to go get him. And then obviously San Diego, then getting Drew Brees. In that one, Packers grabbing fucking Jamal Reynolds. What an awful pick. They had some bad stretches of drafts there. Then the first year I ended up getting a draft guide was 2002. That was the year that the Packers take at that year's draft. They drafted Javon Walker. I had a Jaywalk sweatshirt growing up. He was awesome.
Jaywalk?
He was so good, dude. Javon Walker in his prime was awesome. That year, I had a draft guide. First year I had a draft guide. I remember thinking Quentin Jammer. I remember reading like his thing. He went 5th overall that year of the Chargers. I'm like, this guy's going to be awesome. His name's fucking Jammer. How can he not be the bomb at cornerback? Now, I was led astray. He ended up sucking nuts in the NFL. It happens. But I used to get then draft guides every year. So my birthday is April 27th, so I used to get draft guides for my birthday right before the draft every year. Go right through it. Now we make my own.
That is pretty sick, man. My first draft where I really was paying attention was the 2004 draft when the Las Vegas Raiders, or I guess formerly the Oakland Raiders, drafted Robert Gallery. The Gallery draft, I was like, dude, this guy is a
10-year starter.
Dude, yeah.
10-year starter.
He's a 10-year starter. 6'7", 325. I was like, I'm in. I am all in. Then I think the next draft where I really would, so that was 2004, and I don't think I was like studying the draft until 2007. And you know that draft for the Raiders fans. Jamarcus Russell, #1 overall. And then it was like the Darren McFadden draft, the Darius Hayward-Bay draft, where we took him over Michael Crabtree and Jeremy Maclin. So I definitely remember those are the Russell draft was the first one where I was like, okay, this is who we're going to take, Dad. I'm thinking this guy, I think he's got the big arm. He can throw 40 yards on his knees. This is going to be our guy. And I remember just obviously I had season tickets when Jamarcus Russell was first drafted to the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And he had that big holdout. That was when rookie contracts weren't fixed. So They were holding out and they were starting Kerry Collins, a combination of Kerry Collins and I think who's the other quarterback, like Walker or something. I don't remember his name or whatever it was, but it was rough, dude.
Going back and looking at the 04 draft, goes Eli Manning. Then obviously the Chargers got traded. Then Robert Gallery. Robert Gallery, #2 overall. Then Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, Sean Taylor. That's your top 5. You passed on Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, Sean Taylor for Robert effing Gallery. Roethlisberger, obviously, in that draft.
But do you remember the pre-draft analysis for Robert Gallery? I mean, everyone, dude, everyone was like, this is the next coming of, you pick your favorite future Hall of Fame offensive lineman. Yeah. Like, that's who it was. I'm trying to look up who the quarterbacks were for the Raiders that season, who were starting ahead of
Jamarcus.
Oh, it was Andrew Walter, not Walker. Okay, Andrew Walter, and they were starting ahead of Jamarcus. And then I remember Jamarcus Russell's first pass in the Oakland Coliseum. He completes like a 7 or 17 yard outs like Ronald Curry, and everyone just lost it. I don't think the stadium has been louder since. It was legitimately like. It's crazy to think that as big of a joke Jamarcus Russell has become, The fans were so excited for Jamarcus Russell at one point. There were Russell chants in Oakland Coliseum when Andrew Walter was out there shitting the bed.
Ronald Curry, man. He played basketball in North Carolina. Him and Julius Peppers. There's a clip of Ronald Curry throwing a oop to Julius Peppers.
Wow. Crazy stuff. That was a cool throwback to start. All right. This is from Jameson Schumacher. It's Shoemaker. I apologize.
Ouch, dude. He got you right up.
It's Shoemaker. And why does Mike look like he just shaved his legs and is on the way to send his food back on the first date all the time? And he got you too, Mike.
Shave my legs. I'm just a naturally hairless human being. It doesn't come in here.
I agree with the last comment though. Have you ever sent food back at a restaurant?
I never sent food back. I have PTSD. I hope my mom's listening. She used to send food back all the time when I was a kid, and it made me so embarrassed that I refuse. I'll just eat dog shit if they put it on my plate.
Same. Your mom is definitely listening. When you guys go out, what are your drinks of choice for pregame, and then your drink to maintain once you're at your given destination?
I don't feel like I have a difference. Miller Lite's the drink of choice. Yeah, usually. And if it's Miller Lite, if I'm doing any like at a bar or anything, because like you order a White Claw, you're like, oh, what flavors you got, and you have to do that whole song dance. Yeah. That's annoying. But if I'm outside and it's like summertime, I'll drink a White Claw.
Definitely think Miller Lite's the drink of choice. I also like a good vodka tonic, gin and tonic if you're trying to send it. If you didn't drink all day.
Okay.
But usually when we're hitting the bars on Saturdays, it's usually like you've been starting since like 1 o'clock. Did I tell you on Twitter? So I tweeted that thing about you, White Claw Surge, turning you into Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
PBR responded.
That was very unfortunate. What did that PBR say?
PBR has their own, and it's called PBR Surge. PBR Surge is 8% alcohol. It's a seltzer. I swear.
It's called the exact same
It's called the same exact thing.
There's no way it's called. I just looked at PBR Surge. It's not even a thing.
Dude, go to my Twitter and look
PBR
at
seltzer.
Dude, it's definitely a thing.
It's called PBR Strong Seltzer. Stronger Seltzer.
They just came out with it a couple days ago.
Okay,
I'm telling you it's true.
Twitter.
I'm telling you it's true.
Maybe we should try it on the pod.
I have to try it on the pod. PBR Surge. If they want to sponsor us, I will drink PBR Surge all weekend. Doesn't matter. Or weekend. That doesn't even make any sense. I'll drink it all year. All right. Second question. What is the absolute best way to maximize Justin Herbert's potential and build the offense to his strengths?
You just can't let that offensive line go. That has been your death knell. I mean, that was just like Phillip Rivers every 3 p.m. game for the last decade. Just under gobs of pressure until he just couldn't take it anymore. You can't let that happen. It's like it wasn't fixed last year. Obviously, injuries always a factor, but like injuries, seemingly you're the Chargers offensive line. You're gonna get hurt. That's just how it goes there. So you can't stop drafting offensive linemen just because you signed a few in free agency.
Fair enough. All right, third question from Shoemaker. What is your opinion on Steve's take of trying Derwin at outside corner? He did clamp Keenan pretty hard in Hard Knocks.
I don't hate it, honestly. I think he could be awesome there. Now, it's like he's already awesome at what he does, though. I think the outside corner would be more valuable if he could be the guy that tracks for you, if that's like what he could do. And especially in like Brandon Staley's defense, kind of the safeties there really do play deep, and they don't add on to the run game. So I'm not sure that he's going to all of a sudden, Derwin's, that's kind of going to nix a lot of his value. Like they don't blitz their safeties. They're not around the line of scrimmage in that defense.
That's a good point.
For them, I could see it. Like I'd give it a shot if I were them.
That'd be wild.
Especially if it's just like I said, if your other option is him just playing back and like super off and not adding on to the run game and just being like this like zone deep defender. Yeah, I'd rather have him on the outside playing corner.
Alrighty, this is from
PPR is called the Stronger Seltzer. They said, did someone say Surge because they're roasting the Surge? They're
roasting it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was
they
confused.
got a better one.
Fair enough.
Apparently.
All right. This is from Koala.
We'll do a taste test in the pod.
Deal.
Yeah.
This is from Koala Swalla. I've been a listener for a while, and I've been trying to get a Browns question. The question is, who would you guys feel would be a great wide receiver option for the Browns on day 2?
We say Dammy Brown for everybody. So Dammy Brown. But honestly, I go back and forth on this because they really don't have anyone with big size there necessarily in that receiving core. But they also don't have someone with like legit speed outside of Odell. So I go back and forth. I'll just say Josh Palmer's my guy in the 3rd round. Tennessee, wide receiver. He's got a little bit of both. Go get Josh Palmer.
I think Josh Palmer 3rd or 4th would be pretty nice. Let's go ahead and jump now to ADFG, a bunch of other letters after that. Not sure if you're still doing mailbags. We are. What are your thoughts on Malik Willis, 2022 quarterback from Liberty? The dude with the hose.
We talked about him, man. He's got a hose. He's got an absolute rocket ship arm. He's not even that big, but just you could sling it. Now, the rest of it, work in progress. We'll see. But he's got a hose.
That's what matters, man. And if you're gonna play for Liberty and you got that, you got to be like the best quarterback at Liberty's ever seen. You know, if you want to be considered one of the top 2022 quarterbacks, I think people have asked me a ton about Desmond Ridder of Cincinnati. It's like there are some tools there. There is some athleticism, some rushing ability. Why aren't you the best quarterback in the group of 5? You know, if you want to get talked about as a first rounder, because some people are mocking him in the top 10 next year. I know people are doing way too early 2022 mocks, but like we have not seen. I mean, he's been a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the AAC.
I push back on the way too early moniker, by the way. It's not way too early. It's the fucking NFL draft. I can do whatever I want.
Wow.
Okay, keep going.
All right. Anyway, this is from GoFins21. Also, no, my question. How secretive are NFL front offices actually? They have to be sharing some inside information to get some of the deals done, right? Or are they actually Fort Knox? I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of like Schrager kind of talked about this yesterday. Like you give information to one person to get it to the other, and you only give out information like if you want information. It's like a bartering process. So if there's a really big decision or really something massive on the horizon, you're not going to tell Hugh Jackson, basically. You think back to the Baker Mayfield, who they were going to take. They didn't tell Hugh until the day before the draft, and then all of a sudden everyone knew that the Browns are about to draft Baker Mayfield. That's what you do if you're a front office and there's like a big decision on the horizon, something like that.
That's incredible. Imagine the front office not trusting you enough to tell you until the day before the draft.
Yeah.
That's awful.
But like if you hear, what was the Carson Wentz trade rumors, you like heard Bears are offering whatever, XXYZ. It's to try to like drum up interest.
Yeah,
They're putting that out there to try to drum up interest. It's not just like, oh, oops, that leaked out there. How'd that happen? It's like, no, they want that to go.
Dude, what Schrager was saying about Schefter, how Schefter will just like be wheeling and dealing out there, man. He's just, it's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get to T-Boogie9. With the Dolphins moving back and it looking like there could be 4 quarterbacks taken before the Bengals pick and Joe Burrow pounding the table for Jamar Chase, should the Bengals pick Penei Sewell or Chase? Or I think he meant the Dolphins there. No. Okay, maybe it does mean the Bengals.
Yeah.
Should the Bengals take Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase? And how did you guys get hooked on smelling salts?
Ooh, this is, I think, I'm trying to debate here. This might officially be the question of the offseason because we got another guy here, GRMB. It sounds like your dad's name. But he said, should the Bengals take Jamar Chase in the first and get an O-line in the second, or take Penei Sewell and hope to get a wide receiver later in the draft? And this is the $1 million question.
It's the biggest question in Cincinnati right now.
Cincinnati sports history.
Bengals Twitter, that's all it is. It's just Chase versus you team Chase or you team Sewell.
Yeah.
There's a few Team Pitts fans.
And it's just, I think you can go wrong here, man. Mm-hmm. Because one, deep O-line class, deep wide receiver class. You draft the wide receiver at 5, you get a good O-line in the second. You draft the O-line at 5, you get a good wide receiver in the second.
What's your opinion of, Anthony Tresh said this recently, that Jamar Chase's ceiling, his ceiling projection, his high end, what he could be, is better than Penei Sewell's ceiling, what he could be. More valuable to wins.
More valuable.
Yeah, possibly. More valuable to wins. I think it is. If you get Jamar Chase's ceiling, if you could pretend both of them are going to be as good as anyone thinks they could be, I'd rather have Jamar Chase. I think he's more valuable.
That's what our data says, too. A top 10 wide receiver is more valuable than a top 10 tackle.
I mean, it's also what you saw John Ledyard yesterday, a Pewter Report, talking about that defensive line coach said no donkeys on the offensive line. As long as you don't have losers.
That's very true.
And it's a weak link thing. Even Mitchell Schwartz chimed in on that conversation. He said you need a good left tackle, and then you need good linemen after that. Like, I think getting that great offensive tackle obviously is Penei Sewell here. But why not? Why isn't that Jonah Williams, former first-round pick?
He's fine. I just think that two tackles to me makes an offensive line. You can find guard centers fairly easily. You can't find tackles easily is the problem. It's like no weak link, don't have a weak link.
Especially not a tackle.
But it's like, okay, there's only like 25 good tackles in the league.
Maybe less.
Yeah. And that's between left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you don't think they have 2 of them right now?
I mean, God, like Riley Reif in his early 30s, you're relying on that. That's what you're relying on. I mean, there's a reason he got signed for.
If you aren't confident Riley Reif is a top 20,
but then it's also not even like a this year decision. Also, it's like the next decade. And then the thing about tackles is you don't just go sign one. You don't go find one in free agency. You're not
They're
just
too
like,
expensive,
oh, shit.
and they often get tagged.
Yes. Teams don't let them go because they're like, again, there's 25 good ones.
That's actually not true. The Bengals let Andrew Whitworth go.
You
Since
forget.
we're talking about the
You
Bengals.
forget. You forget. All right, let's get out of this question. I would lean Jamar Chase, but I agree with you, Mike, that you can't go wrong.
Go wrong.
All right. MJW0596. Not gonna lie, free draft guide won me over, but I'd also like to know what will be the best way to follow you guys come draft night. Looking forward to some live rapid reactions and first round shenanigans.
How do they follow us, Austin?
Follow us live on YouTube, Twitter, or PFF.com. We're going to be streaming live all 7 rounds, all 3 days, and a 4th day recap show. Whew. We're going to go for 5 hours day 1.
They're making me earn my paycheck this year. God damn.
It's going to be nuts, dude. 5 hours day 1, like 6 hours day 2. Day 3 is going to be a fucking slaughter. Like that, we're going to be on for like 7 hours on day 3, and we're going to be doing live podcasting the week prior, days after. It's going to be a riot. If you want to be watching Mike and myself for those days, you'll be able to find it. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be awesome. We're excited about it.
I love this shit.
It's going to be sick, dude. It's going to be so sick. All right. This is from George Orr 421. Hi. Big Jets fan and wondering if you would still take wide receiver at 23 even after large investments this offseason. I love Bateman as a prospect, but interior offensive line and corner are bigger needs right now. Would you pass up on Bateman for someone further down on your big board at either interior offensive line or corner?
You're not in a position to be need chasing, in my opinion, if you're the Jets. Now, I think at 23, you can go not even just interior O-line. You can go OT. You can go take advantage of, like I said, I kept saying, take advantage of these strong classes that are going to push guys down the board. Kind of like, the Justin Jefferson last year. You don't find that guy at 23 in every other draft, but because there's a lot of wide receivers, you can find that guy there. So if Bateman's at 23, you don't find that guy at 23. If Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase don't exist.
And Kadarius Toney. I mean, Schrager talked about how he'd go in the top 15.
So you're just not, you need to find valuable positions. So
I do think 23 is a decent spot for Elijah Vera Tucker to come off the board. Because I've been thinking about where is Elijah Vera Tucker going to come off the board
earlier.
Really?
I bet the Vikings draft him, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, I do think that. So can we have a little conversation about Elijah Vera Tucker? Because it's interesting. We haven't talked about him a ton.
Yeah.
We've kind of just he's good and everyone agrees he's good and that's it.
Yeah.
But I think the only way the conversation differs is when you start to consider positional value. Because if you consider him like the best interior offensive lineman in this class, a lot of traditional draft analysts and scouts say, okay, that's a top 10, top 15 type of pick. But he's going to be coming off the board in our mock drafts closer to the back end of the first, top of the second, because it's just so difficult when you consider positional value trying to invest in that guard position.
Yeah, but he is very good. He's going to be an above average guard day 1, I'd say.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you, again, took positional value out of the equation, top 12 player, top 15 player in this class easily.
I saw someone, I think it was Robert Mays of The Ringer, who's a great follow on Twitter, by the way. He said on the pod, best thing I've said about him is that you're going to pick him, he's going to start for 10 years, and you're not going to have to worry about that spot for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I thought, yeah, that's true. How valuable is that?
Yeah.
I don't want to pick in the first round some guy I don't have to worry about for 10 years. I want a guy that everyone has to worry about for 10 years. I want someone who's a monster. I want someone who's going to change the game, especially with these first round picks. And we've talked about this too much, and I apologize. I'm going to apologize to listeners, but the highest paid guard in the NFL doesn't make as much as Trey Hendrickson. Okay. That's the issue. If you want the best guard in the NFL, you can go pay him and not pay Trey Hendrickson. If you want the best offensive tackle or wide receiver or edge rusher, you're going to have to draft him and keep him in-house because those guys don't leave.
Yeah. Guards hit the market.
Yes.
Tackles don't.
Dude, the Raiders cut Gabe Jackson and he signed a 3-year deal. I mean, with the Seahawks. I mean,
I would always I would recommend
and talk about a position
guard, center guard to literally just be either guys you drafted in the 3rd round or later or veteran free agents.
Right? And especially tackle converts. You're telling me I can get Alex Leatherwood to kick inside the guard in round 2? I will. Thank you. I will. Yeah. And the other thing too is that talk about a position you don't need to be elite at. Being elite at guard is not going to take you anywhere. You could have Quentin Nelson.
Tell it to Wyatt Teller.
I'm sorry. Regardless, I'm going to end my rant here. Elijah Vera Tucker, very good player. Probably goes inside the top 20.
Yeah.
I'm going to chase the ceiling a little bit hotter though. I'm going to swing a bigger bat there. Swing a bigger bat. All right. Hey, it's Justin El-Shafi. That's this guy's name.
What's up, Justin?
Guys, I'm a huge fan. I want to touch base because by the time this is read, it may be post-draft. I'm hoping we secure Penei Sewell.
No faith.
So this is for the Falcons. Yeah. I'm hoping we secure Penei Sewell or trade back and grab Surtain. Opinions?
Trade back, just too much juice to squeeze there. Mm-hmm. You just you can change your franchise with the trade back. One of those guys, great. But you can get, I'm guessing, now obviously I don't know what teams are offering or will be offering. You can get a future first rounder. You can go down to 9 and get a future first rounder. I would bet someone's going to want that for either Lance, Fields, whoever's there for. Trade back to 9, get a future first rounder. You could trade back and probably get even more than that. And that's how you change your franchise, is getting multiple years of multiple good players that are cheap.
And if you're trying to win with Matt Ryan right now, I argue that trading back, getting a future first rounder, maybe a future first and a future second, and getting Patrick Surtain at 9 and then leveraging those 2 first-round picks in 2021 is that last shot with Matt Ryan is probably the move. That's better for your football team.
I will also say, and something that doesn't really get talked about, honestly, ever. I can never hear it talked about. But the rookie wage scale, it is still skewed high at the top. So if you're picking at 4, you're going to pay the guy half as much or twice as much that you're paying at 9 if you move down to 9. Mm-hmm. So that used to matter before the CBA limited rookies wages, when it was like Matt Stafford, you're paying him like a top 10 quarterback right off the rip.
Dude, Russell making $60 million guaranteed off the rip.
Yeah, it's absurd. But that used to be a much bigger deal, but it still kind of is. Like if you're going to draft a position player, you're going to draft Kyle Pitts, you're going to be paying Kyle Pitts a lot, like comparative tight ends. You're not saving if you're compared to like if you draft a corner at 9, he becomes really good. So it's something to think about. Not going to drive that whole decision altogether though.
Next question here is from Kyle Bratzel. Some mainstream media outlets love matching a player who's a position of need with a team. Question: what are some player scheme fits you would hate in the first round?
I think I hate J.C. Horn to the Cardinals. I just don't think he fits in Van Joseph's defense. I would not love that. Asante Samuel to the Jets we touched on, or Asante Samuel to any of like the press man or like the press 3 teams. That would also be like Chiefs. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to the Raiders. I don't like that fit. I think he would be neutered in Gus Bradley, right? Gus Bradley's defense.
Unless he plays the Derwin James role, right?
Well, he would be box safety, but Jonathan Abrams.
Yeah,
box
true,
safety.
true.
Like you want Jonathan Abrams there.
And you can't bench Nick Witkowski.
Yeah, what are you going to do there? And then the Moore brothers, any of the smaller slaughter receivers to the Ravens, I just don't like that fit.
And the reason for that, obviously, is that Lamar Jackson accuracy. I mean, you talked about them needing big body.
The way he throws over the middle of the field, it's not. He throws like behind linebackers. You need bigger catch radius with him. And also you have Devin Duvernay, who's like Devin Duvernay and Hollywood Brown are both like 5'11". You get by on a receiving core of all shrimps is going to be tough.
Another one I'll add to that is any running back to the Steelers at 24 is a fit that I don't like.
Yeah.
You got to go off the tackle there.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Melguan the Don 17. Hey guys, maybe a question you don't think about often, but why do you think Josh Doctson didn't turn out to be good in the pros? He graded really well for PFF at TCU. I mean, I was a fan, and remember he had some absurdly high PFF grade before going to draft. He did. You're right.
So he was kind of what you worry about with age-related production. And also he was skinny. So he was 23 when he came out. Didn't have a big year until his last year at TCU after I think he started at Wyoming, transferred to TCU. And then you're like the guys who come on early, all of a sudden you're the adult playing against kids in the Big 12. And that offense, that was so much fun to watch though, with him and Trayvon Boykin. They were slinging it. And he was a good athlete, but he was a guy who was skinny, not getting pressed in the Big 12. And then you get to the NFL and all of a sudden like those contested catches that you're making over 180-pound corners, you're not making over guys who are the exact same size as you. And I think that was Dockson's biggest issue, just playing through contact.
Fair enough. All right. Another TCU guy we liked a lot was PJ Dawson.
We talk about PJ all the time.
We do.
His problem was not so much on the field.
Yeah, that guy was a monster.
I miss him. All right, this is from Shave That Squirrel on Your Face. God damn it. That being said, I want the Broncos.
He literally just create an Apple account just to demolish you, just put you in an early grave.
I respect it.
I love it.
Early grave, I'm rising out of that. That being said, I want the Browns to draft JOK, and I'm pretty certain he won't be there at 26. We have had multiple Zoom interviews with JC Horn, but I doubt he will be available either, with Farley probably dropping. With Troy Hill under contract, Ward and Greedy, do you think the Browns take an edge or think they shoot their shot on Zaven Collins? Personally, I think if we can get JOK at 26, if we can't get JOK at 26, we should go edge, then grab Jabril Cox or Jamin Davis in the second.
Jamin feels like this year is Jordan Brooks. That guy's going to just like go to someone in the first. Now, sadly, the Seattle Seahawks aren't in the first round this year, so that would have been an ideal fit, obviously, with them just eschewing whatever they need. I really don't. The Browns masterclass free agency this offseason, my humble opinion. I tweeted this yesterday. That was like they filled every need they had at defense. Didn't pay a lot of money. Only one real long-term contract in the John Johnson deal.
And it's only 3 years.
Yeah. Like one that they're really stuck into for those 3 years. That's good business, man. That's how you do it. And now you go to the draft. You got 26. You don't know how the hell the board's going to play out. And you don't have to force Billy Price into your offensive line if you really had to do it. But you don't have to force anything. So I do think they're in a really good spot to just, I don't think it's going to be linebacker now, even though that's probably maybe like the weakest spot. I think they're in a good spot to even like address corner or even move up for a corner if they like one of those corners. So
I also like, I like corner, edge, tackle. You know me.
Biggest need, every team, corner, edge, tackle,
It's true.
quarterback.
It's true. Tell me it's not.
No, I do. Cornerback is my thing where it's just like 3 guys play. Who has 3 good corners?
None.
Who has 3 good corners? How many teams have 3 good corners? Until you have 3 good corners, then come back and talk to me about it being a need.
Fair.
Or not being a need.
Fair. All right. This is from Dusty Dust.
I think the Ravens have 3 good corners, though. There's some teams that do.
The Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks have.
Bengals have like 6 average, decent corners. That kind of makes 3 good corners.
If they get Drake Kirkpatrick back, they'll have the average corner stable.
Yikes. This is from Dusty Dust on the Rusty Bus. I love that. At 16, if any of the big 3 wide receivers fall or any of the big 3 corners fall, what would your selection be? Thanks for the input.
I think the big 3 wide receivers, one of them, I just think they're better respectively at their positions. So like all 3 of the wide receivers on our board, obviously we just talked about we love cornerback value. All 3 of the wide receivers are above the top cornerback on our board. So they're
Give Cliff another weapon to just completely abolish. All right.
and fucking Schrager had Devontae Smith falling to 16. So
very true.
stranger things.
Should see Tony going there.
Oof.
If the NFL is as high on Tony as Schrager was saying.
Tony's interesting there. They wouldn't use him right at all because
That'd be a sad state of affairs. All right, this is from
they plug him at right wide receiver.
Yeah, they would. This is from C. Smith. If you could be a fly on the wall in the Chiefs' war room on draft day, what prospects do you think are on their top list come pick 31? And who does Brett Veach and Andy Reid ultimately go with?
I bet they just have like a tackle draft board. They don't have other players in this draft board. It's just offensive tackles. I would imagine. I couldn't fathom them going anywhere other than tackle with Lucas Niang and God knows what else that
They re-signed Remmers, I think.
Awesome. I'm so happy for them. But no, that's what it's got to be. Probably who they're praying for. I'm not sure any of like the real blue chip guys fall. Like Sewell, Slater, Darisaw, I don't think are making it there. That's not going to happen. You might see them move up if they really, one of them's like available, like 21, something like that. But I think the more realistic Cosme, Tevin Jenkins are probably where it's starting to be real.
I saw Dane Brugler had a 7-round mock draft for the Athletic recently. He had Sam Cosme falling all the way down in the 40s. I just can't imagine the Kansas City Chiefs passing on Cosme. Like Cosme.
Well, who do you have them drafting? Do you have them drafting another tackle?
I don't know if he did or not. That's on me. I don't think he did though. I'm gonna go look it up. All right, next question here. This is from Ryan from Chicago. What do you guys think the blue blood CFB schools are?
I'm going to make people upset with this, but I wrote down my list. Now, if I missed one, please help me out here. But in the Division I independents, we have Notre Dame, blue blood. In the SEC, Alabama, LSU.
Did you just say Notre Dame and blue blood in the independents?
Yeah,
Okay.
they are.
All right.
Are they not?
I guess they are.
They got
been
the
to two
history.
of the last.
I hate Notre Dame, but they have like the Four Horsemen or whatever the fuck you guys get all riled up about. Yeah, Notre Dame's blue.
They've been to 2 playoffs and a national championship in the last decade. That's a fucking blue blood if I've ever seen one. But, I mean, okay. If you're gonna challenge me on Notre Dame being a blue blood,
I'm not. I'm laughing at that. I'm laughing that you brought up the independents.
Okay, yeah, Division 1 independents. SEC, we have Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, Auburn. Any others you'd like to
Kicking
add?
Auburn in there is interesting. I guess that's fair.
They won a national title that
I mean, it's just crazy to have that many blue bloods in one conference. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the SEC.
It's the SEC for you. Big Ten, it's just Ohio State, Michigan. Sorry, Penn State. I debated you. I don't see it.
You're not going to put Penn State as a blue blood?
I don't think so.
Man, that's brutal.
I don't think so. Sadly, it's been a while. Joe Pye.
Oh my
Joe
God!
Pye
I'm looking ahead. I'm looking ahead to your ACC.
ACC, Clemson, and FSU.
You know, Miami, Florida, how the might have fallen.
I don't think they are anymore.
That sucks.
It really is. It's just been too long. Too much.
No, you're right. No, you're not wrong there. It's just
even though I included Michigan, which maybe I should not have, but they still draw.
They're on the
headlines.
teeter,
but they're still like fan base wise.
Yeah.
You know, they're
and recruiting wise. I think recruiting ranks is a good indication of blue blood.
That's like it's kind of the combination of both. It's like, do you have the fans? Do you have the history? And can you still pull at this point in time? Like Texas, so Clemson, FS, Florida State in the ACC. That's Texas in the Big 12 and Oklahoma. That's really it. I don't think you really make an argument for anyone. Oklahoma State, I think, wants to think of themselves as one. Mm-hmm. They're not.
Miami still has the 12th best recruiting class of any team in the country this year.
They recruit because of location and like they'll always, but just the Dubs ain't coming. It's having one.
Texas A&M at 7 in 2021. Not a blue blood, but
Texas A&M. Yeah, I wouldn't call them blue blood either.
Fair enough. All right.
And then Pac-12, you only got USC. That's it.
Yeah, USC recruits well according to the latest rankings.
Washington.
They're 8th, right ahead of Notre Dame.
USC's just got the branding.
Surprise ranking inside the top 20 here. Maryland at 18, ahead of Tennessee. Yeah,
interesting. But yeah, like I said, I debated Washington, Texas A&M, Miami, Tennessee, Penn State. Not blue bloods to me.
Fair enough. All right, let's go to Ham Magic. I have a couple of Browns questions. They should go defense with their top 2 picks. First, do we need to trade up to go get a corner now that Horn and Newsome are climbing? Next, can we get Ronnie Perkins in the second? And do you like him for us? Finally, what flat-out speed receiver can we find early in the third?
I would not hate a small jump for Greg Newsome. Yes, by all means. I do think Perkins will probably be there in the second, just with kind of this edge class being fairly deep and not great. So I think it'll be kind of like drafted a little later. Speed receiver, I would have said Tyron Wallace, but he ran a 4.5 his pro day. Surprise. A little bit.
I wasn't that surprised. I didn't see that speed on tape.
He was a track star. Dwayne Eskridge, Amir Smith-Marset. Dwayne Eskridge, the Western Michigan. I always get the directional Michigan.
He's also like 24.
24, but he can fly. Amir Smith-Marset, same thing. Iowa receiver. Skinny, not going to be a whatever, do-it-all guy, but he can fly. So those two guys. If you're looking for speed, they got it.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to Cake Pants 5. How good does Jordan Love need to be to justify the draft choice?
This one's... I went back and forth on this one. I really don't hate the pick as much as like a lot of people hate the pick. It's quarterback. Still it's a high variance lottery ticket that you bought. But it's just like, does it matter if he doesn't play? That's like, it's more, what's the plan for him in the future? Because you don't want to get rid of Rodgers. Like, I don't think even if he's good, if it led to you parting ways with Rodgers or Rodgers like leaving in the next 3 or 4 years, I don't think that's a good thing. Like, Rodgers is what you are looking for at the quarterback position. If it leads to you not extending Rodgers, that's a bad thing, even if Jordan Love is good. So, I don't know. This one, to justify it, that guy better be the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers better hang it up in 3 years, and he better be fucking good. There you go. He better be good.
I mean, that's to like... I mean, I think that's not the only way to justify it. I think that's the way for it to be like a good pick. To justify it, I mean, you could also like move on from him for like a second or like a first or something. But at this point, like Aaron Rodgers is playing really good football.
It was the timing of it was just wrong.
Yeah. I mean, and how similar of a situation is it that Atlanta's in. Like Atlanta's
it
in,
is.
and people keep mocking quarterbacks to Atlanta. I just don't see it. Peter Schrager told us yesterday, he's like, I don't see the Atlanta Falcons taking a quarterback. And I agree with him, but there are others that still have, Trey Lance or whoever going to. I mean, Dane Brugler of The Athletic has them going Trey Lance at 4. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
And we said it with the Falcons. It's like, you draft a quarterback at 4, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan in this next 3 years.
Yes.
You could if you flip those into 3 impact players, but your roster's too bad to realistically say to burn a valuable pick like that into smoke for the next 3 years because he's not going to play over Matt Ryan.
No, I agree. All right, this is from Chandler W. King. Mike, what do you think of Jerrion Ely?
He said he has the same glasses as us too. Nice.
Oh, I have the same glasses, you guys. Nice.
Glasses guy.
Love that. Mike, what do you think of Jerrion Ely at Ole Miss? I think he's one of the most gifted runners I've seen. Love the show. Hottie toddy, come to the sip.
He's sweet. He's real in space.
Oh, I thought you were talking about him. What is Hottie toddy, come to the sip?
That's what they come to the sip is what Lane Kiffin always tweets out.
Oh,
Do you
does
not
he
follow
really?
Lane? It's come to Mississippi, the sip.
Oh, the sip.
And high ties are like roll tide equivalent.
It sucks.
It's not the best. Hottie doesn't really get you going quite like a roll
Keeps
tide.
him from being a blue blood, that's for sure.
I bet Ole Miss tailgate's pretty sick, though.
No, absolutely.
My brother lives in Jackson, Mississippi, which
Let's make a play.
horrible town. Sorry if any of our listeners from Jackson, Mississippi. That was one of the worst cities I've ever been to in America. It was just like
What made it so bad?
the roads weren't even. There was a road that was a 35-mile-per-hour speed limit. You couldn't go 35 without blowing out your tires. Like, it was awful, just like poorly kept. And there's just like not stuff to do. So there's my little hate on Jackson, Mississippi. But apparently Oxford and Ole Miss, E&D, my brother, goes there for games every year. Says it's awesome. Said we got to go down there.
I'm interested.
Maybe the tailgate tour.
Yeah.
It's not too far a drive. But so Jerrion Ely, back to him, sophomore this past year. Been playing since true freshman year. He's a little small. He's 5'8", 190. Definitely also looks it like he's not. His lower half's like pretty skinny also. And so he's not going to run through, but he is shifty in space and like very natural. Like you said, gifted runner. Like he's knows how to set guys up. I'm excited to see if he can like pack on a little mass, get him a 3-down back status.
Ooh. All right.
Like a Michael Carter as, if he continues to get bigger.
This is from Matt Petey. Best draft analyst you can find. After trading down, do you think it's still possible the Eagles are still in the market to draft a QB by possibly trading back up? Oh, he has more of this question. 1, knowing what you know about Burrow. 2,
that might have just been a different one.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Or was that? I don't know. Someone asked that question.
Okay, we'll get to that one next.
All right.
I don't think the Eagles are in a quarterback at 12.
I don't think they're going to trade up. I just don't. That would be a hell of a long con to get people off the scent. We're going to get people off the scent so much.
And they trade the same trade back with Miami. Oh. And it was all just a joke. It was all a ploy.
What if they had the agreement prior where they said Kyle Pitts comes off the board, it goes through. Kyle Pitts doesn't come off the board, we flip back immediately.
That would be hot. Is that legal?
Yeah. Ooh.
That'd be nearly hotty toddy.
Okay. That would be.
I wonder if that's even legal.
I want
Get Goodell on the phone.
Idea.
So far, we want Goodell on the pod. Is that legal? Can you do that? Can you have like trade clauses?
That would be an ultimate, just like.
Dude, can you imagine we're live in studio when that happens? Oh, that'd be nuts.
That so much. Okay. All right. I love that. All right.
So next question. This is 2-piece here.
But I don't think it's. I don't think it's actually.
No. I don't think
that's a very far-fetched idea. But I don't think the Eagles going to be in the quarterback.
Would be sick. All right. Knowing what you know about Burrow, Tua, and Herbert, where would you draft them if they were put back into this draft? Is Lawrence too much of a can't-miss prospect that he still wouldn't go 1?
Yeah. I'd still go Lawrence 1. Then I go Burrow 2. And then I'm going to get hate for this, but I'd go Zach Wilson, then Justin Fields, and then Justin Herbert.
Oh, buddy. The Herbert shade never ends.
Yeah. I mean, that just is where I'd go.
Fair enough.
Then Lance Jones, too.
I'd probably go Lawrence, Burrow. I don't know, man. I start to think about Herbert a little bit. I'd go Herbert over Wilson. I don't know. I think I'd go Herbert, Fields. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'd do. That would be tough. I mean, Herbert has to get into the conversation at some point. Going Fields and Wilson over Herbert would be nuts. All right, let's go to number 2.
Is that what I said?
If you were a team with a Super Bowl-worthy roster, would you give up all of your timeouts for the entire season to have a no-injury setting turned on?
Yes. I mean, timeouts don't really matter if you're up every game.
A no injury setting would be hot.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. That's the death knell for
Also,
so many
imagine
teams.
the play calling you could call it that. I mean, you could send dudes out
Hospital balls.
Yeah, dude, you could just actually lose it. You know, you could call plays all the time. I mean, especially if the no injury also meant no pain, no soreness, no nothing. Like these guys are like invincible.
So they're on Toradol. Toradol's back now.
I'm in. I'm interested. All right. Do you ever play that video game back in the day, Blitz the League, where like if you got hit and like your leg broke, they'd like take them to the sideline, shoot them up with steroids?
Oh no, I never saw.
Dude, that one was
I played the OG Blitz like so much. I was king of that. There's one play that's unstoppable. I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
Oh no, don't tell me.
It's called the bomb. Everybody knows that. That's,
No, it's
you
not.
just roll.
It's UTB deep. It's UTB deep.
No,
You just told
the bomb,
everybody to play?
you roll backwards and then you jump and launch it deep.
No, but the bomb it takes a guy off the route. You want UTB deep. Is the one you want.
I think he knows, Quinn. We're gonna have to get some blitz tourneys here.
UTB deep.
All right, this is from Nicholas C_3. What would your thoughts be on the Bengals trading down, especially if the Falcons do trade down to a QB needy team? Would they get more value this way? Also, if they stay out of their current position, how would you rank Sewell, Pitts, and Chase for them, assuming they are still on the board? Dude, this question is going to get asked 1,000 times.
I missed it.
I do think if Atlanta trades down at QB, trades down, someone comes up ahead of them, and 4 QBs go in a row, I don't necessarily think that how many teams are calling up to go get the 5th best QB.
If 4 QBs go off, then they're screwed. Like I don't think they're going to get a trade offer. That's nice at that
They're
point.
not screwed, but I get what you're saying.
If you do, the lowest I'd go is like Carolina, though. If you really do get an offer for the 5th,
I think if that happens,
because then if you go down to Carolina, you're going to get one of. Assuming Carolina would go up for a quarterback, maybe they wouldn't, but if someone is moving up for a quarterback, you would get one of Pitts, Chase, Sewell.
I do think if all 4 quarterbacks go, and they're sitting there at 5, I think Pitts is the move.
Interesting.
What would you do? You take Sewell over Pitts?
Probably.
Man.
Basic.
Man.
What if the 4 quarterbacks are Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Mac Jones,
and then
Trey Lance
still
is still
Lance
out there? Because I feel like if Lance is still out there, somebody's going to get desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Lance is still out there.
He's the only one left. I got to go get it. And then they get a haul.
Yeah. Denver, maybe?
Yeah. And you could even move back to 9. I mean, you'd still get Slater. If like one of those 4, I'd be fine with that.
What would be a reach? So this is from J. Kelly 3. What would be a reach for the Packers at 29, knowing their tendencies to go for high caliber athletes who don't necessarily have a lot of college production?
Oof. This was Carlos Basham to me is the one that like might happen. I'm scared of. Fits there, just what they like the 10 split, athletic dude, value position, but it's just and obviously like they haven't given a shit about needs on the draft board.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate, but he's not gonna see the field. Like, and then would also be like I just don't see him as that worthy of that quite high a pick.
Yeah, I don't think he's a first round player.
And he's also not like complimentary to Rashawn Gary either. I got a lot of issues.
Dude, you just like this is not even a scenario that's happening. You're just like, man, if they do this, I'm gonna lose.
I mean, I talk myself. I have to emotionally accept it now in case it does happen.
Okay. All right, this is a long one, a little bit of a novel here. This is from Telesco Loves Getting Golden Dome.
Nice.
Side note. Side note, I ran into Renner at Kenwood Mall here in Cincy a little over a year ago, right in front of Oakley's sunglasses store. He was walking with a girl, but I was too much of a chicken to say hi and ask for a picture.
It's Trimax. What great? The one that beat my ass.
Oh, the one that beat your ass.
Yeah.
You'd go to the mall with her? Yikes.
Why did I go to the mall? Just I didn't get close. I mean, why does one go to the mall? I think it was.
That sounds like.
But I do remember this. I do remember going to the mall with her like a year and a half ago.
Going to the mall sounds awful.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, would you have stopped and taken a picture with a big fan? Would you have stopped and taken a picture with a big fan?
Yeah. I mean, someone asked for a picture.
Could your ex even know how to work out a camera?
Yeah, did she?
Could she
taken a picture?
Does she know how to hold the camera? All right. Anyways, it's obvious the Chargers need to draft an offensive tackle, but with Sewell and Slater being off the board by 13, I'm not sure if Darisaw is good value. I was wondering with Farley's injury slide and Surtain off the board, is Horn a reach? And is he a good scheme fit for Staley's scheme? In addition, I believe the Chargers need to find a good 3-4 defensive end opposite of Jerry Tillery. What are some options for the Chargers in the early to mid rounds? I was hoping for a Chris Jones type, of player, Barmore, for example. What are your thoughts between taking Horn, Barmore, or Darisaw at 13? Well-written question. And honestly, I wish you took a picture with this guy.
Yeah, we should have. I do like Darisaw. Still like left tackle, still in need there. I don't think Horn's a great scheme fit either. They just play a ton of off there. And he's a little out of control as a tackler. You need to tackle in that defense too. So Barmore or Darisaw, I'm in with both those guys. Now, I also do love a good 3-4 defensive end in the later rounds. Some of the guys I'd highlight as in that mold, Osa Odighizuwa is probably my favorite 3-4 defensive end in your classical 34-inch arms, 2 gap. He can do that. Marlon, the UCLA defensive tackle, Marlon Tuipulotu, I'll also highlight as well. The USC defensive tackle, another guy, ticks that box.
Marvin Wilson too, right?
I'd throw Marvin Wilson there too, actually. Yeah.
What do you
that
think
might be
of
his best play.
He didn't mention this.
That might be his best role, honestly, Marvin Wilson. He's not, I don't think he's going to be like a penetrator with just that get off.
Yeah. This is an interesting question from Telesco Loves getting Golden Dome. I think the other thing I wanted to add is, what's your opinion of wide receiver at 13 for Chargers? Like if it's
fun,
yeah,
man.
that's what I'm saying.
Fun.
I'm not against it.
I
like Waddle. I like Waddle at 13. If Slater, you like Jalen Guyton. if Slater and Sewell are gone, I would probably lean Barmore or Waddle or Barmore or Smith. If Smith is falling as far as 16 in some of these mocks, I could be down.
Yeah.
Could be the move. All right, this is from I Am the Machine 99. With the recent tank in Week 17 that ended up netting the Eagles a first-round pick to move the 6th pick to 12, do you see owners eventually voting on a draft lottery system? The NHL tried this after Edmonton had the first overall pick in 4 of 6 years with embarrassing results. The most needy teams have been bumped down year after year, and borderline playoff teams jump 8 to 10 spots frequently. Would this increase competitive balance or punish the truly needy teams?
I don't think they'll change. I just think like NFL is so conservative.
Yeah.
In terms of like inching forward.
The problem is the NFL won't change. Why won't we start gaming the system then? I mean, I know teams, some teams really are.
I was going to say, I could see it if you see some obvious. Mm-hmm. The Jags were like borderline obvious this past season with what they did with Minshew. But I really don't think unless you see, and then once you do, then it will be a conversation. Then I could feasibly see it. I still don't think it's going to be like. I
have a good question after this.
I think it would be like a small amount of teams, though. I don't think you'd do everyone that misses the playoffs, gets in the lottery like the NBA. It would probably be top 3 is like a jumble. You got to do it.
What team currently projected to draft inside the top 5? You know, some of the lowest ranked teams right now. What move could one of those teams make to make it obvious that they're tanking?
I mean, like you bench Matt Ryan.
Okay, come on. I meant teams that are projected to draft in the top 5 in 2022.
2022.
So like Houston, Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, if Detroit like bench Goff also, like that would.
My take is if Houston, like obviously Deshaun Watson stuff, I don't think he's playing this season. And if he doesn't, and they don't do anything about it. All right, Tyrod Taylor though, I don't know if he's can Tyrod Taylor tank that roster?
Yeah, I mean, it's Tyrod Tayller. It's such a bad roster that.
Fair. I would definitely.
Deshaun Watson went 4-12 with that roster.
Fair.
And now it's worse.
Yeah.
You know who plays? You know who's quarterback for the Texans? Ryan Finley.
Dude,
he got
Finley
them
Yeah,
Burrow.
they made the tank move, the classic tank move. If you're starting Ryan Finley, you want the number 1.
Yeah, Ryan Finley got the Bengals Burrow, so he could do it again.
This guy had a couple more questions. Which top 100 picks would make you cake your pants as a Titans fan?
I would love Elijah Moore in the first, Christian Barmore. I don't love the day 2 cornerbacks, but I would love the Aaron Robinson fit across from Jack Rabbit. So there.
And then last one here. Any prospect have the potential to get a DUI and COVID in their first season as a Titan? The bar has been pretty set pretty high by Isaiah Wilson.
There are guys that I won't name names yet, but there are probably guys that I would
make a play.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's gonna be on Isaiah Wilson levels next year.
But yeah,
There's just no way.
And no one's gonna end up. If someone ends up on a hood of a car dancing in
a strip
mall somewhere in Mississippi, I'll be surprised.
At that point, it's Tennessee, though. At that point, it's on Tennessee for developing these monsters.
It was in Tennessee.
Oh.
I was like, oh, well, really? Actually, was it Florida?
The other thing I'll add, too, is I tweeted this when he had that picture come out. Isaiah Wilson was just in a constant state of send once he got drafted. Like, he did not let up. The gas pedal was down.
Yeah, you got to, like, find out these guys' motives. His motive was to just get drafted.
Yeah.
Then he was out. That was it. He succeeded in his goal.
I just don't know how that doesn't come out in the vetting process.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know how that doesn't come out in the vetting process.
Didn't he jump out a window too? Was that when he was in college, or was he was at like a party and he jumped off a balcony?
I don't know. Man, that guy flying through the air sounds scary as hell. It looks like a meteor coming down. That would be nuts.
He jumped from a second floor balcony to evade detection that was at the party he was at.
To evade detection?
Yeah, because he was at that party and didn't want to get cited for the COVID stuff.
He jumped out of a window onto what?
Jumped out of the second floor balcony.
And landing on what?
I mean, second floor, you can just land on the ground.
I guess that's fair. He can?
But that probably
Can you imagine that big of a human being jumping out of a fucking window?
earthquake.
What an athlete. Maybe somebody will pick him up.
I actually kind of like that. All right, a couple more questions here, then we'll wrap up the bonus episode. We've kind of
Also, I just had I didn't think about this at the time, but Miami had to be the worst place to sign him, just in terms of like where you're living. Miami or Vegas, if they signed him, do you think that guy's going to make it through his rookie, like that year there without just sending it
true.
the night before a game till like 5 a.m.?
It's very true.
No. So
All right.
it was never
Hey
good.
guys, love the pod. This is from Broncos 13579. With the Broncos adding to the secondary in free agency, do you think they should stay at 9 and take the best available player, or trade back to acquire more picks?
The Drew Lock discussion, or what's the Drew Lock conversation, is incredible to me. This guy was a second-round pick. He has not played good football for a stretch of more than 2 games in his entire NFL career. You got to do better than Drew Lock. And if you're believing in Drew Lock, he's got to get so much fucking better for you to even come close to competing for a Super Bowl right now. And like the fact that people are just like, oh, we roll into year 3 of Drew Lock, a second-round pick again, mind you. Like, we talk about how many teams need or are desperate for quarterbacks. Every single team passed on him, including the Broncos. If you thought he was that good, they would draft him. Like, there are reasons why. And not saying he can't, but my God, you got to do better than Drew Lock, Denver Broncos. And you have a good roster right now.
And you
Go
have an
do better than
opportunity.
Drew
Like,
Lock.
I would trade a future first-round pick and a future third to go from 9 to 4 yesterday to go get Fields or Lance. If Mac Jones falls and it's just Lance or Jones, it's a different conversation, because I do think Fields is a better caliber quarterback than Lance. I think the tiers for me are Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance in his own tier, and then Jones in his own tier. How do you view the tiers? Is Lance in that second tier for you?
No, I think Lance is his own tier.
Which, again, it's like if the San Francisco 49ers do pass on Mac Jones, like, you have every reason to go up and grab him. You're the team closest now, with Carolina now buying into Sam Darnold, Detroit committing to the tank most likely, Miami with Tua, Bengals with Burrow. You're the team most close to Atlanta. You'd have to give up the least compared to the other teams trading up. Why not? But worst case scenario for you is that Drew Lock plays well and end up playing Fields. And then, I just don't know, man. I think this roster is good enough to go get a quarterback and win with a Fields or a Lance. Go get one. All right.
Yeah.
This is from next one here. Tyrell 321. Who are some players the Eagles should target with our second and third round picks?
I feel like we've had this question like 3 times.
Maybe a billion times.
Although I think some of them were defense folks. So I said I was going to give you offensive players here. That's what I think the inevitably, now 12, it obviously depends what they do at 12. They feel like they'd be in the wide receiver market. But if they're not, I would grab whichever wide receiver inevitably falls to the second, because there's just not enough landing spots for these guys, whether it's Kadarius Toney,
Terrace Marshall.
Marshall.
If Terrace Marshall falls to him in second, I love that.
Rondale Moore, like whatever one of those guys falls to you in second. I also don't think this would be a bad landing spot for Freiermuth.
They run a lot
Obviously, they're
12.
shopping Ertz. I don't know what's ultimately going to happen with that. So those are your potential targets.
This is from JDD Eloach 3. Do you know if you guys don't know if you guys get this before the draft? We did. If you happen to get to it, how do you compare and contrast Joe Burrow and Mac Jones?
All right. So we've talked about the tight window throws and whatever. Burrow is just like on another level with that and the difficulty in what he was doing. He's obviously, I think, a better athlete, or at least better at making plays outside the pocket, getting outside the pocket. And the offense he ran at LSU was much more pro style than what Alabama is. He was not. So yards gained through screens and RPOs, 22% of Mac Jones's yards, only 10% of Joe Burrow's. So Mac Jones had more yards gained on RPOs and screens having gained over 1,000 yards fewer passing. Dropbacks under pressure, only 18% for Mac Jones. Best offensive line in college football, maybe the best offensive line in college football in the last 3 or 4 years. Probably it was. LSU, they had some guys drafted. It was not a great offensive line. Burrow was under pressure 30.8% of the snaps. That's almost average for NFL level. I think the NFL averaged 33. So you saw him having to do what he's going to have to do in the NFL. And he had 81.6 passing grade under pressure. Mac Jones only 6'7". Just wasn't under pressure that much. So you see Burrow, high level, elite defenses he's facing, pro style offense, and you're like, okay, start to buy in. That's real. Mac Jones, not necessarily pro style offense. really only faced the lead, like good defense once you got to the playoffs. And then, even then, like the Ohio State team this year, not even fucking close to the defense that Ohio State was throwing out last year. And just not under pressure. Like, had an all day to throw there. So
Joe Burrow's way cooler too. He's the man.
And no DUI for Joe Burrow.
Fair enough. DUIs matter. All right, this is from PFF Draft, please. I would love for the Giants to draft a wide receiver or Pitts in the first round. Pitts would be a dream. But after signing Galladay, it may be better to grab Slater if he's still available. If the Giants are able to grab Slater, what do you think they do with their second round pick? I would love Basham or Rousseau to fall so we could solidify the defensive line.
Rousseau would be interesting, actually. I don't think Basham's a great fit with how they treat their edge guys there. Osai is the one I've been saying. Osai is like the great fit there in the second. And that's maybe a little high based off of our board, but he's a freak athlete. Like, that guy could fill that role better than a lot of these other guys could. Rousseau's the one I'd be interested to see him in that defense, though, because he's I still feel like his athletic testing is still not a terrible athlete, even though like his cone and shuttle were like awful, but like he's still kind of got to get off, and there's still he still is very young, so we'll see.
What do you think about them going double dipping in the offensive line, potentially grabbing Slater and then another offensive lineman on day 2?
Another like guard, like Creed Humphrey or something.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. The only thing is if they're drafting Slater, like he's already, you're putting him on the interior. Mm-hmm. That's what I worry about drafting Slater at 11. Because Pierre, I think he's like a tackle only. I don't know if you're throwing that guy in
He's
as guard.
big as hell. I saw a picture of him.
He's 6'7".
I didn't realize how big that dude. I think he filled out a little bit more too. I saw a recent picture of him. He was training with Will Hernandez and I think some others. And he's like objectively larger than Will Hernandez. And Hernandez is not tall, but I'm saying like he's also like similarly width-wise. Like he's a fucking big ass dude.
Yeah, like a 6'7" guy. You're not gonna kick that guy inside guard. It's gonna be tough for him. And then Andrew Thomas drafted 4th overall. You could tell the guy you draft 4th overall, hey,
Kicking you inside,
buddy. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the tough thing with me is you're already addressing one of the interior positions.
Last question here. This is from Master 10. Big fan of the pod and would love a draft guide. Question for you about my Giants, though. Would you want... Oh, this is another 11 question, and that's my computer. Who would you want at 11?
It's Devontae Smith, who I want at 11.
Okay.
That's who I want at 11. I want the guy I know is very good at wide receiver.
I don't think they should let Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton keep them from grabbing a receiver.
Darius Slayton's just like, he was fun for a little bit there. It's like, oh, okay, we got a little something in the 5th, but you didn't get a complete wide receiver.
You didn't get anything near what Devontae Smith is. That's for sure. Like, do you want to be starting Darius Slayton over Devontae Smith? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think there's a significant gap, maybe a gap that Giants fans don't see. I think you go Devontae Smith. And I loved, and I think I brought this up multiple times, I love what you said before Kenny Galladay even signed with a team. You said, man, you think about the Ravens as a fit. If he can kick in the slot there and work the middle of the field and that type of stuff, I do think that versatility for him is interesting. And Smith has that same versatility, like being able to do that with a combination of Shepard, Smith, Devontae Smith, and Kenny Galladay. I mean, talking about trying to prop up Daniel Jones for the season, trying to get him something. I think I like that a lot. That would be pretty sweet. And then grab offensive line on day 2 and day 3. Yep. Go get, a center and interior offensive lineman there. All right, that's going to do it for the bonus listener mailbag. Until next time, make sure you leave a podcast review, 5-star review. Your question will get answered on the mailbag. We're going to get to them. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Until next time, Austin Gale, Mike Renner, producer David Safaro, producer Mike Quinn, 2-for-1 Drafts.